The Australian continent is one of the most fascinating places on Earth. Originally used by the British Empire as an island to send some of their unwanted citizens. Today we know Australia for its wide open beaches, marine reserves and its cute koalas, but it hasn't always been the case. It is also the home to some of the world's largest insects. Venomous snakes that could kill an adult with one bite, and not to mention the salties, a species of deadly crocodiles that can swim in the ocean and snag someone enjoying a day on the beach. But even with gigantic spiders and pesky kangaroos traversing the outback, Australia is a lot more tamed than what it once was. In fact, prehistoric Australia was an absolute nightmare. And we're not only talking about the dinosaurs that roamed the land. No, Australia was once home to some of the most ferocious and downright scary creatures, like the giant monitor lizard and crocodiles, that will make even the biggest 20-foot salty seem like a friendly pet. To fully understand the history of Australia and how its chaos unraveled, we need to turn the clock back a couple thousand years. More specifically, many experts estimate that the chaos on this crazy, unforgiven continent peaked around 50,000 years ago. Ironically, this is also the same time that humans would come to the land down under, so join us as we explore a list of the deadliest animals that ever roamed Australia. The biggest crocodiles ever found. One of these incredibly scary animals was known as a land croc. Now, unlike certain species of crocodiles that are just bigger than the rest, this land croc differentiated itself due to the fact that it didn't need to live in water to protect its skin. In fact, it favored terrestrial habitat and was very comfortable living on land with other animals. Known today as the Quinquina reptilian species, this ancient crocodile had a very similar build to that of modern crocs, but the big difference was observable in the legs. Quinquina would live from 25 million years BC to about 10,000 years BC, where it would roam the Australian outback and often assert its dominance over other predators. At one point, this enormous animal stood around 3 meters or 10 feet in total length and weighed around 200 kilograms or 440 pounds. It was once even considered a crocodile until its unique skull shape and longer legs made scientists move it to the extinct clade of Mekosuchini species. Its hoof-like toes and flatter tail than traditional crocodiles, which wasn't made particularly for swimming, gave them the ability to comfortably run on land, making it a vicious predator even when it decided to leave the water. Whilst its land speed remains uncertain, many have agreed that it could have at least come close to the speed of the large Komodo dragon, reaching around 25 miles per hour. And scarily enough, if you thought that jumping into the water would save you, you would have made a grave mistake, as these supercharged crocs were accomplished swimmers as well. In fact, it is safe to say that the Quinquina might be better off now that it is extinct, instead of having local Aussies having to fend off this beast of a creature. But despite as powerful as this croc was, it also had to be fearful of the largest known terrestrial lizard walking around. Megalania, the rhino-sized Komodo dragon. Whoever said that size doesn't matter has never heard of Megalania. Recently, scientists have changed the name from Megalania to Varanus priscus, which means that it was actually a large version of the current monitor lizard. Still unclear on the true specifications of this beast, it is assumed that Megalania could easily have reached a length of around 3.5 meters or 11 feet. Its weight was slightly lower than that of the giant croc, at around 134 kilograms or 354 pounds. To put into perspective, this is close to the weight of some powerlifters. Imagine a predatory animal the size of Eddie Hall and the length of a sea lion, and scaringly enough, in some rare cases, recent studies have also found that it could have potentially reached a length of about 7.9 meters or 26 feet, that is close to the length of a small submarine. Adding to this length, many speculate that it could have reached a weight of almost 2 tons. But what makes the Megalania an apex predator is not only the enormous size of this creature, but also the incredible teeth these animals are speculated to have. Their razor-sharp teeth could rip the flesh off almost any other animal, and the incredibly sharp claws could create a vice-like grip that would be almost impossible for anyone to escape from. Adding to their deadly arsenal, recent studies of monitor lizards, who are believed to be direct descendants of the megalania, has shown that these creatures possess a venomous toxin, which leads scientists to theorize that the megalania itself might also have been venomous. Its venom is said to be similar to pit vipers, which is hemotoxic and serves as an anticoagulant, which prevents the blood from clotting and could cause internal hemorrhaging. Nowadays, the Komodo dragon, or Komodo monitor as many would rather call it, is the closest living ancestor to that of the megalania. And since they have very similar hunting tactics and behave similarly, it is the only remaining species which might have evolved from this once feared creature on the Australian continent. An encounter with the megalania is undoubtedly something you'd prefer to avoid or evade, but if you've somehow successfully steered clear of these behemoths and the immensely large crocodiles, how would you fend off the next creature on our list? Wonambi. In the modern world, fear of snakes or opiophobia is prevalent, and many people find themselves fearful of these massive reptiles. But compared to prehistoric eras, the snakes of today don't stand a chance in hell when Wonambi makes an appearance. This family of snake itself is unlike anything we have ever seen today, belonging to a species of snake that is now extinct. The Madsoides were characterized by its inflexible jaws and incredible size, with many accounts putting it at a length of around 6 meters or 20 feet. Being the size of a python, Wonambi, a genus of Madsoides snakes, was a little different from some of the other Australian snakes. Even though its bite didn't possess any venom, it was still one of the most feared reptiles on the planet, and thanks to its incredible size, it was a massive constrictor. The difference between modern constrictors and the Wonambi would be the way in which they consumed their prey. Where modern constrictors would wholly swallow their meals, the inflexible jaw of this incredibly large snake meant that it had to eat similar to a crocodile. It would use razor-sharp teeth to rip pieces from the flesh of victims and devour its prey, a scene straight out of a horror film. And as big as it was, its appetite also followed. To feed themselves, these creatures would wait near local waterholes and ambush kangaroos, wallabies, and other animals coming to the water for a drink. Now, while we may be happy that the Wonambi is long gone, imagine having an encounter with this reptile while on your semester abroad. Thylacoleo, the lion-koala hybrid. With everything seemingly wanting to kill you, one mammal stands out due to its adaptive nature, the Thylacoleo, which is known as the largest mammalian predator to ever live in Australia. Possessing similar attributes to that of lions and tigers, but it was in no way a feline. In fact, it was closer to being a marsupial mammal, which is closely related to that of the koala. Yes, the koala we see today might have been the only species capable of surviving in the Australian outback, overrun by reptiles. One problem was that the koala was not the smartest animal alive, and the Thylacoleo, having an even smaller brain, actually proved to be an advantage. Having an abundance of muscle mass, instead of trying to outsmart its enemies, its pure power would be used to its advantage. Its biting force is estimated to be very close to that of a lion, and thanks to its incredible size, the Thylacoleo is said to have been around 1.5 meters long from head to tail and could easily reach around 130 kilograms or 287 pounds. Its biggest advantage was the large teeth that it would possess, and it would kill the same prey that would take an average female lion 15 minutes in under a minute. Not to mention the incredible appetite of these beasts, this monster was not shy of climbing, and paleontologists think that it might have been a very handy climber, being able to scale trees in the exact same way as the African leopard. Elephant-sized wombats. Whilst the predators would continue to dominate, the early humans might have considered herbivores their friends. Well, this was until they came face to face with the Diprotodon, whose closest living relative is the wombat, with one minor difference: it was the size of an actual elephant. In terms of its weight, these massive animals would reach an incredible 3.85 tons, equipped with a thick layer of skin, similar to that of the hippopotamus, made it a solid adversary for some of these massive predators roaming around the outback. For this diprotodon, its diet mostly consisted of vegetarian food, but with a bite force of 11,080 newtons, it made sure to always put up a good fight. To put into perspective, that is roughly equivalent to the force exerted by a mid-size car crashing into a solid object while traveling at 40 kilometers per hour. Quite the amount of force for a herbivorous creature. But as crazy as Australia once was, history has shown once again that even though lacking the size or the strength of most prehistoric creatures, our ancestors, armed with stone tools, cooperative hunting strategies, and keen intelligence, established themselves as the undisputed rulers of the natural world, suggesting that maybe mankind was in fact the true apex predator.